What up, YouTube Live? How's it going, everybody? Today or this evening is Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019, and it's been a full day. We had the Oscars nominations announcement earlier this morning. That's always hard to do every year, man. Getting up early that in an ungodly hour like that. Lucky for you guys who live in the East Coast, if any of you guys live out there, that it was like 8 a.m. for you guys. So anyway, this evening is the new episode of The Flash. And while I don't have any press screening that I'm attending this evening or red carpet premiere that I'm covering, um, tomorrow though I'm attending the Lego Movie 2 press screening. So I'll start getting busy again starting tomorrow. And next week is Santa Barbara Film Festival. This week is Sundance. Sundance starts this Thursday all the way till late next week. And so late next week will be the start of Santa Barbara Film Festival, which we'll be covering. All right, so let's get right to it. Just like with all my episode recaps or TV review videos, this too will contain spoilers. So spoiler alert, spoiler alert. This video or this review is mainly for those of you, my fellow The Flash fans, who have also seen tonight's episode titled Seeing Red. Seeing Red. Um, and in a nutshell, basically, this episode brings back Cicada. It's been weeks since the last time we saw him, right? So it's like, whoa, he's back. And he's up to no good, taking Meta's powers and killing them after taking their powers. Of course, as you know, he hates Metas. He blames Metas for what happened to his daughter Grace, who's still in the hospital. And so in this episode tonight, the juxtaposition of that is Barry Allen's daughter Nora getting hurt by Cicada, which is interesting because Cicada in this episode broke her back, kind of like Bane broke Batman's back. Um, it's just an observation. I'm not, it's probably be too far a stretch to parallel both of them. But it's interesting, and at one point, she even like when she's lying on the bed, she's trying to wiggle her toe, and that kind of brought me back to Kill Bill, the movie Kill Bill, the first one. Wiggle your big toe, wiggle your big toe. Again, it's just an observation, nothing to do with Kill Bill. Um, and at the same time, going on in this episode, Caitlin Snow, her alter ego, Killer Frost, they have a little, I guess you could say, spat amongst them. I guess it kind of looks different. I mean, it looks weird because she looks like she's talking to herself, but she's communicating with Killer Frost. They have like differences of opinions about approaching this formula that supposedly cures metas, and that's interesting to me. Another observation: if Cisco and Caitlin Snow want to kind of cure meta, turn them into normal human beings. In the series Supergirl, Lena Luthor wants to turn human beings into superpowered metas, or at least be on equal footing to the metas. Not metas necessarily, I'm sorry, to aliens, right? Because in Supergirl, that's what they're dealing with more, and they're dealing more with aliens. So yeah, it's like they're on different or opposite lanes there. The agendas of those individuals. So okay, what do I think of tonight's episode? The Flash, meanwhile, also tries to rescue many of the bad guy metas that are on the list. They discover that Cicada hunts down the metas based on this list that is leaked from the Central City Police Department. And at the end of the episode, they find that leak and punish him. And it's interesting because during this process, we the audiences and also the characters like Killer Frost and Ralph. Oh, Ralph is back. I love Ralph. He's so entertaining to watch. I'm so glad he's back. Cisco sits this one out, by the way. Cisco got benched in this episode, so we don't see him here. Um, it's interesting that during that whole process of rounding them up, right, trying to keep them safe and trying to put them on that chopper, we kind of learn, and the characters like Killer Frost and Ralph, they also kind of learn that some of those metas, their heart is in the right place. That they turn bad or they turn villainous because they have to survive, or because once they turn meta, like one of them says, like, I this is the price I paid for trying to rescue that kid in the zoo. I became this freak, and so now I'm looking out for myself and not nobody else's anymore. um but given the opportunity, as proven in tonight's episode, he is willing to help his fellow man. So, and that says something because it goes along with what was also tackled in the previous episode about Nora blanket judge blanket judges she blanket judges all the villains as just irredeemable bad guys, no second chances. But in this episode, we see some shades to them. Even the selfish one, she she still just like takes care after herself. I'm talking about the one that can teleport herself. She teleported herself from the ground to the chopper. Even her, she's like working minimum wage job at a freaking um arcade, just trying to get by now, not trying to cause any trouble. So given the opportunity, given the trust, given the second chance, some of them would not waste those second chances. They actually would, you know, try to be decent for once. Um, of course, when they get pushed or when they get called freaks again or when they get treated differently, that I'm sure that triggers them into hatred again, or into at least some kind of a pushback on their part. um but yeah, I just think that's interesting tonight to see the shades of those guys. um and also the juxtaposition of Cicada and his daughter Grace in the hospital, and Barry Allen and his daughter Nora injured and also lying in a lab bed, not necessarily hospital. And that affects Barry Allen emotionally. Like, you hurt my daughter. And by the end of the episode, he's like, oh, we can connect on that level. He's a dad. I'm a dad, so to speak. My daughter came from the future. And when that revelation comes up, my first reaction is like, wow, it takes them, what is this, 11 episode for them to finally come to that epiphany. It's like, oh, maybe we can do this strategy. Wow. See, that's the thing with this series, man. They really have to milk it, because in America, unlike in Britain or other countries, in Britain, they like freaking Luther, they only have like 5-6 episodes per season. In America, it's like 23, 23 episodes. So you gotta milk it. You gotta come up with sometimes even like episodes that don't really have anything to do with the bigger arc, you know, detour episodes. What's the word I'm looking for here? Ah, and it's on the tip of my tongue. So, like, okay, that's cool. That's a good strategy. Now, I guess you can reach him, through Grace. Wow, that took you a while for the fastest man alive. That's kind of slow. Speaking of whom, did you notice in that scene where Barry fights Cicada in this episode tonight? Right after Cicada takes his power, right? Because it takes everybody's power for a few moments, the Flash is without his power, without the Speed Force, and so he fights hand to hand with or against Cicada. And man, is it just me or Barry is slow? The way he swings his punches. I know I'm not an expert like in martial art training, but it's like the bad guy or your opponent can see that move. It's so slow. There's nothing, even as a normal Barry Allen, as a normal Barry, without the Speed Force, he's so slow. Like it, my reaction when I see that, I was like, wow, it seems that Barry needs some training, some actual physical, I don't know, jujitsu, wushu, what have you, right? That would, some kind of a training that would help him fight fast, fight effectively when he is without his power. So whenever that happens again in the future, right, he can fight his opponents in a way that the opponent cannot anticipate every swing or every punch or every move, because man, he's pretty slow as a fighter. Um, Not really an effective fighter there, Barry. So that's my comment about that. Um, with regards to Caitlyn and Killer Frost, I don't know if I have strong opinions about them. Um, I think I like Killer Frost better when she's actually full on villain. This whole thing with Killer Frost being like, "Oh, I'm tough on the exterior, but on the inside, I care about Caitlyn." I don't know how I feel about that. Even though Killer Frost keeps telling Caitlyn, "Hey, stop being soft on me," but my counter argument to that is that Killer Frost, you are being soft. You're not the Killer Frost in previous seasons. You know, you telling Caitlyn Snow that you're stop being a softy on me. It's like you yourself has turned soft. But probably that's what scares her. Um, so and also in this episode, last note before we go, or a couple of last notes. We see Ralph being very wise, very mature. Ralph is not Ralph. He's actually observant. He's a good listener, and surprisingly so, he's very stoic in this one and full of wisdom. I'm like, whoa, what happened? Who are you, and what did you do to Ralph Dibney? I don't know who you are, but you're not elongated, man. Look at you. But I guess the writers are presenting Ralph as somebody who has evolved in his maturity and in his thinking and in his uh, collegial relationship with the team. So that's nice. That's nice, but I kind of miss the old Ralph. The mischievous one, the one that's like doing things outside the line or drawing outside the line, kind of Ralph. So I hope that Ralph comes back one of these episodes. Uh, Sherlock, the detective Sherlock, Tom Cavanaugh's current character in this season. He is investigating Nora. As you know, it's revealed that Nora is working with Eobard Thawne in the future. Um, and according to previous episode, it seems that Eobard Thawne may have been reformed, but let's not take him at his word. um, I gotta hand it to Sherlock, man. Sherlock with his accent. Sherlock. I was like, how do you do his accent? I can't do a good Sherlock Wells impression. I'm sorry, but I gotta hand it to him because he's a pretty good, damn good detective. He's closing in on it, and then you can see Iris kind of gets irritated. He's like, "Why are you investigating my daughter?" But you can tell because here's the routine. If you're like me and you've been following the Flash in season 1, there's a routine. I wouldn't call it a song dance number that gets played out, but it's a routine where um, Iris occasionally would get defensive. Iris would get as defensive whenever any of her loved ones get accused of something that has happened before in the past. And in this one, she gets defensive too. Like, even though she is supposed to be an investigative journalist, right? Hence, investigative, kind of like Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein. Although in this case, whenever there's somebody close to her, she's like she shuts down her investigative journalist instinct and just like, no, 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 this is off limit. This is off limit. I care about this person. Get away. And the other routine, um, although the resolve of that routine tonight is kind of different, is that if you notice, my fellow The Flash fans, Barry Allen in many episodes, including tonight, would often get emotionally driven. He would get emotionally driven instead of thinking rationally or logically. And in tonight's episode, he gets really driven by his anger, frustration because his daughter got hurt. Right, and that has happened before in previous seasons or episodes in the past. And usually, the routine would have Iris or Joe giving a voice of reason to either calm Barry down or to bring Barry back to his senses, so he won't get blinded by his emotions. In tonight's episode, that resolve was different. That resolve came in just a split second when he sees that Nora has gotten better and Nora stops her dad from killing Cicada. Um, because the Flash doesn't kill. The Flash is not the Punisher. So that's the routine. The routine is seen tonight with Iris being defensive and with the Flash being blinded by his emotions. So that you will see that pattern a lot now that I've mentioned it to you. Maybe you haven't noticed it, but now that I've mentioned it to you, I'm sure you'll be like, "Oh, it's the routine again." By the way, the person who plays Joe, the actor who plays Joe, the great Jesse L. Martin, last I checked, he got injured, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I heard information that he got injured on the set or maybe on another place, but that he will be coming back soon. That's why in this episode and previous episodes, and probably maybe the next episode too, where it has been suggested, oh, Joe is busy doing this, or Joe is still waking up, Joe's still in bed, whatever. Because Jesse L. Martin has not been around to shoot his scenes, so the writers have to kind of work around that and kind of write off Joe or bench him or put him on his side until he's okay. So whatever the specifics of that news is, let me know if I get it wrong. I just want to wish Jesse L. Martin all the best for speedy recovery. I've been a big fan of Jesse L. Martin since Law and Order, man, with Jerry Orbach. So yeah, great character actor. Jessica Parker Kennedy, who plays Nora, again, I've been a big fan of her since Black Sails. Oh, if you haven't seen Black Sails series, you got to check it out, man. It's kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean, but rated R. And Jessica Parker Kennedy looks smoking in that series. So it's good to see her in the Flash series as Nora. Nora is secretly, or Nora is keeping a secret from her parents, and it's only a matter of time until Sherlock uncovers that mystery that Nora has been working with Eobard on, and we'll see the repercussion of that revelation. All right. So that's it. That's my review, my rant, my observation of tonight's episode of The Flash, season 5, episode 11, titled Seeing Red. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, subscribe to my channel, press that like button, ring that bell, and if you can help support Rama Screen Channel, please do so at patreon.com/Rama Screen. Once again, that's patreon.com/ramascreen. $2 per month can go a long way. So please consider that option. All right. Thank you, guys. Until then, as always, let's rock this.